getting some water for this new exercise. Welcome to 110, exercise 6 in the Pro Tools ebook. So we're diving into MIDI actually one more time, because MIDI and music is a big part of Pro Tools, and that's why Pro Tools was invented in the first place, is for musicians. So it makes sense that there's a lot of music and MIDI based stuff that you have to learn. But a lot of it is transferable to things that we do in audio post, and this is no different. This is called MIDI real-time properties. In this in this lesson, you learned a lot about quantizing, which is taking beats and notes and forcing them to land at very specific locations. So if you're dealing with a drummer or a keyboardist or someone who just cannot hit the keys or the drums like on the beat, you can quantize those sounds so they land on the beat perfectly every single time. But there are actual variables in the quantizing parameters that allow you to vary the quantizing so it doesn't sound so robotic. It's called swing. So it's pretty cool. So it knows that it can make songs sound a little too perfect and a little too robotic. So it makes it just a little bit imperfect. So it adds the human element back in. So we're going to be touching on that a little bit in this exercise. Getting started. For this exercise, you'll work with a session containing various MIDI performances on instrument tracks. To get started, you'll create a session from a template file and save it to the location specified your instructor or me. I always save these template files. I make a copy with my initials, right? I always save it to the folder where the template file exists, just to keep everything together. If you have a folder of your own that you've created where you're just putting all of your Pro Tools sessions, that works too. This is just how I do it. So we want to do Pro Tools 110, 05, treble, and open it as a stereo mix. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so I'll call it treble, KT, stereo mix. Oh, what? I want things interleaved. There we go. Why would you ever not do that? I mean, I know why, but it's such a pain. Okay, save it as treble KT. I'm going to save it in the treble session folder just to keep everything together. And let's see what this looks like. If it's a MIDI session, it's probably, yeah, huge is what it is. So looks like we have lots of tracks, lots of music tracks. We have our transport window or extended transport window already open. We're in bars and beats time base because this is a music session. But we do see things like minutes and seconds and tempo and things like that. We don't see our inserts, sends, or I/O panels. That's okay. We'll open them up if they ask us to. But just to be curious, what does this sound like? Yeah, some of it does sound a little bit off, I think on purpose for this exercise. Okay, get acquainted with the session. For the first part of this exercise, you will listen to the basic tracks to familiarize yourself with the tune. Next, you will listen to the guitar track to identify problems with the performance. So let's locate the MIDI guitar track in the edit window. Click the mute button on the screen for MIDI guitar track to mute it, and then return the cursor to the start of the session. Okay, we'll mute it. So it's track number 1. That's easy. All right, I get the idea. Now they want us to solo it, I believe. Click the solo on screen to solo the MIDI guitar track. Right click on the click track at the bottom of the track list and choose Make Active. So I guess the guitar was playing to a click, but maybe it was a little bit off. Okay. So we want to solo the guitar track, so we hit the S button, which means that we're only going to hear that track solo. However, if you have a click track, if you go down to the bottom of your tracks list, you'll see something that says click. That's the what a lot of musicians play to keep in time, to keep the beat, if you will. As you can see, it's italicized. It's hidden because the dot is grayed out, and it's italicized, which means it's not active. So the click track, there really is no solo or mute. If it's active, you hear it all the time. If it's not active, it's muted. So we want to solo the guitar and make the click track active, so we can hear the guitar with the click track. Okay, now what? Playback the session. The click track will play. During playback, note that the timing of the MIDI guitar performance is off relative to the click. Okay, so probably able to tell right away. So let's see what that's all about. Oh, he's way off. All right, you get the idea. So since what's great about this exercise, it's a really good introduction to quantizing and real-time MIDI properties, because it's distinct MIDI notes, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, that are on a grid. Get this dude out of the way. That are on a grid, so you can see very easily at times when it's off a little bit. So, and you'll see the results, you'll actually see the move when we quantize them to the correct positions. So this is a good exercise to help understand this concept. Okay, so click the Edit Window View selector above the tracks display. We want to see real-time properties. Press Escape when finished to close the menu. Click the Quantize button in the real-time properties and select the quantize grid to the quarter note setting. So if you guys play music or compose music, you probably know what quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes, all that stuff means. It's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that sort of a thing. So it's letting us know basically like the rhythm of this session and basically the beat that the guitar should be playing to, but isn't. So we're going to quantize it to the quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that sort of a thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that, like, 1, 2, 2, 2. So when it quantizes those notes will fall on those beats and it will sound actually good again. So let's open up the real-time properties. In the past, whenever we've wanted to open up these like I/O menus, comments menus, insert sends, I've always told you guys to go up to View, Edit Window Views. And yeah, you can open up real-time properties here as well. But now that we're sort of in the advanced Pro Tools, I think it's best if you do it the shortcut way. And that is, at the top of where your tracks are listed, there's this little pop-up thing called the Edit Window View Selector. It's the exact same thing as this. The only difference is you don't have to go all the way up there. And what's cool about it is when you click on it, it shows you what's selected. I could choose inserts, I could choose sends, I could choose I/O, I could change my mind, and the menu's still open. I can uncheck, uncheck, uncheck. Right now, it just wants me to do real-time properties, so I'll go down to real-time properties. There we go. And then hit escape. The escape button in the upper left corner of your keyboard makes it go away. You can also just click out of it, and that works too. Click the quantize button and set the quantize grid to 1/4 note setting. Okay, click the quantize button and set the quantize grid to the 1/4 note setting. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. QUA is for quantize. Let's click on that. See this? That's a musical note. So you click on that, and right now it's on 1/8 note. We want it on quarter note. Look what happened. Before it was on that. Now it's on. See what happened here? Let's do it one more time. Quantize. Do it again. Watch the MIDI notes. Quantize. When you click quantize, it's quantizing them. It automatically pushes them to, in this case, where each 1/8 note lands. But we want quarter notes. It's not that fast of a song. So we click on quarter note. Watch what happens to all the notes on this track when I do that. See how these guys all lined up like this? They lined up with the quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That sort of a thing. Every beat now the notes will land on those beats. That's what quantizing is. So, and it's automatic. Well, it's automatic, but it lets you adjust it as well. Play back the session to hear the results. Experiment with different quantized settings to hear how they affect the performance. Try quarter note, 1/8 note, 16th note. The performance will update in real time during playback as you adjust the settings. So, yeah, let's check it out. Yeah, see, that time it was perfect. This is what it sounded like before. Oop. See, it's kind of sloppy, but then the other one, in my opinion, was very robotic. So let's experiment. Let's try 1/8 notes. Really, let's try 16th. See, what's going on here is every time you choose a different note, 1/4, 1/8, 1/16th, it automatically analyzes all the clips on the track and adjusts the notes to the nearest beat, basically. But it's doing it automatically. So they're landing where you're telling them to land, but it's not landing maybe the way you want them to land. That is where the next step comes in. Okay, so we played around with this. We did quarter note setting. It said to play around with quarter note, 16th note. The performance will update in real time. As you're listening to this, it might sound a little robotic, a little mechanical. So this is where we're going to start throwing some realism back into it. We don't want it to be so on the nose that it sounds mechanical. We want something in between. So let's see what the exercise tells us to do. Set the grid to 1/8 of a note and experiment with different swing settings. Try starting at 50%. Increase the amount in increments of 10 to 15% until you're satisfied. The performance will begin to match the feel of the session with a swing of around 70 to 90. So all these terms, quarter note, 1/8 note, quantize, swing, this is all in lesson 6. But to summarize it for you, if you quantize something, it'll push the notes to the nearest beat, making every beat perfectly timed. But when you add a little bit of swing to it, it varies that a little bit. It fudges it just a little bit so it sounds a little more realistic. So that is what we are about to do. Quantize, 1/8 note, and swing. So it says to start it at 10%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it on loop playback, and I'm going to just play this bit over and over again and change the swing little by little until it feels right. Okay, here's 0% swing. See, it's like it's kind of there, but not quite. Let's try 10%. Oh. Okay, it's getting there. Let's try 30%. Okay, so they're saying that we're going to really hear something around 70 to 90. So I'm going to put this on 75, right? Look at this. Look at the dots. Before it was on 30. Now it's on 75. So we've quantized it, but now we're kind of making it a little more, we're kind of stepping back from the perfection a little bit. Let's hear how that sounds. Okay, now let's listen to how it was before we did anything. Now let's hear how it sounds when it's quantized, but with no swing. See, it sounds a little mechanical and like it cuts off at certain points. So let's add 75% swing. See what that sounds like. Between those three, I think that one is the perfect mix of being on time and sounding natural. But we can go even further than that if we go to the advanced menu. So, fine-tuning the performance. Click on MIDI guitar to select the track if not already selected. Choose Event MIDI Real-Time Properties to display the real-time properties floating window. All right. So, MIDI guitar is selected. Event MIDI Real-Time Properties. Okay, here we go. Track MIDI guitar. If I had multiple MIDI tracks selected, it would show me that list, but I only have this one, so it's only showing me this one. I do have other MIDI tracks, but I only have this one selected, so that's all it's giving me. Quantize. Okay. When you open it up, you see that there's all these other things. This is where, you know, if you've got a music vocabulary, a lot of this will mean something to you, and you can go in and really have fun. Let's see what it says to do in the book here. Check the checkbox next to strength to enable it. This allows you to adjust the degree to which the original performance is conformed to the grid. Begin playback and gradually reduce the strength percentage until you're satisfied with the results. Try a strength setting between 75 and 90 for the MIDI guitar. Click the checkbox next to random to enable it. This allows you to apply a random variation to the timing of each note in the performance. Okay, crazy. First of all, let's change this to 80 because that's what they select. That's what they want us to do. Strength. Let's see, what did they say to do? Strength between 75 and 90. Okay, let's try 90. Let's see what happens to the notes. See, they move just a little bit. Okay, I think that's sounding pretty good. Let's lower that strength to say 20. See what that does. Let's go back up to 90. That's pretty cool. Now it says to hit random until you try a random setting between 10 and 30%. Let's try 10 and see what happens. See, you were basically playing, it's like a tug of war. It's like, how perfect do you want to make it? Okay. How random do you want to make it? Okay. How we can make the notes kind of random, but are they in the perfect position? I mean, it's kind of just sort of playing with numbers until you find the right combination. If you've ever done color correction, for example, you know that if something's too blue, you push it into the red, you push it into the orange, you play with the highlights, you play with the midtones, you play with, with the dark tones until you get it just right. But you're just kind of going back and forth between the tones, the different tones and the different reds and the different oranges to balance out the blue. This is a similar sort of a thing. You got a bad performance, you're trying to make it good again by making the notes land perfectly, but not so perfectly. But you still want a mixture of perfection and sort of natural human error. And these are the different variables you have to play with. So if I took off strength, what would that sound like? And increase the random to 30%. Then the notes. See that right there? Put the strength back on. Look at these three notes right here. When I turn the strength off, this one is a little bit off. So these three don't line up as much anymore. When I turn the strength back on, these do line up. Oop. So how this would work with audio post-production, it's hard to say. This is really mostly a music making thing. I could see maybe doing something if you were working, say, like a robot voice, maybe a sci-fi movie, and you wanted the robot to speak with a certain rhythm. This would be a really cool way to do that. Other than that, this is mostly a music-based thing. Let's see what it says to do now. Once you're happy with the results, stop playback and close the real-time properties window. So, to wrap up, make the click track inactive so it does not interfere. Be sure to save the work I've done. And okay. So we close this window. Right-click this to make it inactive. Play it. Oh, and then just listen to everything. Oh my God. Go back to the beginning of this video and play this, and it's like night and day. And it's all about MIDI real-time properties. And that is the end of exercise 6. Take a picture of your window. I want to see your real-time properties window open. Ideally, maybe, if you remember, have the event, not that one. Have the MIDI real-time properties window open as well so I can see what you did, and send it off to me.